Next question is, do we need volunteers and employees? We have employees, we have our caretakers, but of course we always need volunteers. The thing that I love so much about our team is that they are all young people. Average age is around 26, 28. I'm 33. And they are, because they're so young, because they're so technologically engaged, they know what we're fighting for. They see the impact that we have. We have the impact that we have on social media, so online and offline. They often understand that what we're doing is, the work that we're doing now is gonna have an echo in the next years. We often go to a public shelter near Brașov in Codlea, and we rescue dogs from there whenever we have space, because they kill them after 14 days, and we don't sleep so well at night thinking that we have space and we can rescue them, so we go ahead and we take them when we have space. And I think the biggest compliment that I have ever received, so Codlea is a shelter, it has a capacity of around 200 dogs, and they take dogs from the streets from around 14 towns in the near of Brașov. So you can imagine that in Brașov, in the city of Brașov, where the level of education is higher, we don't see so many dogs on the streets. But outside of Brașov, so in the rural area outside of Brașov, there are a ton. And they go every day, and the dog catchers catch these dogs and they take them to the shelter. And imagine you have space for 200 dogs and you bring every single day 10 dogs. In 20 days, your shelter is full. And then what do? When you bring the next 10 dogs and you have nowhere to put them, you have to start killing them. And that's what happens. They take dogs, they keep them for 40 days. If they don't get adopted, then they euthanize them. And the euthanasia is not the kindest or the best or the one that you're used to in Western Europe, the humane one. It's probably with a stick hitting their heads, or all kinds of substances that they give the dogs to drink so that they die an excruciating death. So it's not, it's really making me sad only to think about it. But this is the main reason why we rescue from public shelters, because we don't want them to die an excruciating and hard death. So whenever we go to Codlea, I talk to the vet there, and the vet has given me the best compliment ever. He told me a couple of months ago that he doesn't see so many dogs on the street anymore. And I was like, oh my god, are you for real? This is amazing, because this is what we're doing. We have an ongoing spaying campaign with our partners from Hunderettung Europa, and with Tierschutzgruppe Herzlich Willkommen, also from Germany. And together with them, we spay around about 300-400 animals per month in 4 practices, in 2 in Brașov and 2 around Brașov. And spaying so many animals every single month makes a difference. You know, it really makes a difference, because there aren't any new puppies get born. The ones that are on the streets, we rescue them or they get adopted, and then you just stop the whole vicious circle for coming and coming and coming, you know. And this is great. I mean, this is something that is worth fighting for, and I'm very happy that it came from exactly the person that, I mean, this is how we end it. This is how we stop public shelters from taking dogs and euthanizing them, by spaying all the dogs and all the cats that are on the streets and inside the houses and the yards of everybody else. This is it. If you want to do something, spay your animal. If you want to help the animals abandoned in Romania, spay your animal. Spaying one rescues 1,000 lives. Okay, Dominique asked, and I was really happy to have your question, when can you come and visit? You can come anytime. We will always have space for any volunteer who wants to come. It's really shit now with Corona, because I know some countries have different regulations, and if you come to Romania, which is on the red list because we're high in percentages with infected people. If you come to Romania, I think when you go back, you have to stay quarantined for 2 weeks. So if you're up for it, to be quarantined for 2 weeks, you can come tomorrow. Okay, these are the questions that we've had. If you are interested in another topic, please tell me. I think that what you do is amazing, said Raluca. Thank you very much. I also think it's amazing, and I'm happy. I'm happy to know that our lives count. Sometimes I think about, people that are going to their jobs and hating their jobs. They're working 9 to 5 and they don't get the same feelings of gratitude and happiness that we get whenever we see dogs leaving our transport, when they see that they get adopted and they finally rest easily on a couch, when we get updates from dogs that have left probably 4 years ago and they're still living their best lives. These are the things that matter, and we are very lucky, me and the entire team, we're very lucky to have found this calling and to have found this place and this team and this unit that makes our dreams come true and makes such a big impact in our lives. I should probably tell you about some hard cases that we've had over the years. I'm also a vet nurse, so that means that I am qualified to make vaccines, make microchips, put an IV. I can do treatments to the dogs, make injections, stuff like that. And I should probably talk about some of the cases that have really touched me, because in 5 years since I'm doing rescue and in 3 years since we've had this shelter, I made myself not want to get emotionally involved in any hard case, because when you're emotionally involved, it's hard to think clear. It's like when a doctor is operating on a relative, you wouldn't want that, because they get so much emotion in it that they probably make mistakes. So this is the same, I think, as all my dogs are my babies, all my dogs are a part of me, and then I want to be with a clear head when I treat them. And in the last couple of months, we've rescued some of the most hard cases ever. And I want to start with Walter, because Walter he's my soul dog. He is my soul dog. I love him so much. I don't know if anybody knows, or if you've watched our stories and you've seen Walter. He had owners, 2 old people who were schizophrenic. They had mental issues really bad, and they let him eat paste and dirt. He was hit by a car. He had his joint smashed. It was very swollen and it was very painful. He had mange, and he was covered in scabs and in tears, and when we rescued him, he was in such a bad shape. I couldn't find a healthy spot on his skin where I could make an injection, because he needed some anti-inflammatories and something for his pain. And that was the moment when I just, my heart broke, how much he struggled to be alive until he was rescued. And we've bathed him every single day. We took care of him. We gave him so many antibiotics and treatments, and really we took care of him. He is actually like my baby. He's like my baby. I love him to the moon and back. And now, after a couple of months, he's doing great. His fur is all cleaned down. His problem in his joint, it's not repairable, because his joint is actually smashed. So we cannot operate it. It will have to remain like this, but it doesn't bother him anymore. There's no more pain. He's a happy dog. He's running around. He's jumping on people. He is the best dog kisser on the planet. He gives kisses with passion, and he knows what he's doing. You know, when he licks your face, he's like, I know I'm licking your face and I like to lick your face. He is just amazing. At the same time we rescued Walter, we rescued another dog. Her name is Fe. We rescued her from Kotlia. She was just, you know, like in a pretzel shape. She was staying like very down. She had lost complete faith in humans. She just didn't even want to move. She was also full of mange. She could barely get up. She could barely eat or drink. She was in a horrible condition. And now she's really happy. Her fur started to grow. Unfortunately, she also has cancer. We've made the x-ray, then we've made the tests, and she is positive and she has small metastatic in her lungs. But that doesn't stop her. The thing that I love so much about dogs is that they don't care. What they live in the present, and what happens now is the most important thing ever. Right now, the people he's with, the food that they're drinking, they're eating, and the water that they're drinking. That's it. Living in the now is the most important thing, and this is something that I think we all need to learn about the dogs, is to focus more on the present and less on the past. Focus more on the more optimistic and joyful things in life than on whatever happened to us in the past. Both of them, Walter and Fe, even though they were really scared of people at the beginning, are now really happy and cuddly and jumping on us, and they're grateful that they have been rescued, and they're waiting for their forever homes. Another case that we've rescued almost a month ago, and this was again really hard, it was Caramel, and with him, man, you know, some dogs really break my heart. He was a shepherd dog, and in Romania, shepherd dogs have the worst lives ever, because shepherds use them to protect the flock, and then when they cut the animals, or they don't need the dogs anymore, or they don't need so many dogs anymore, even though they spend their 1 year or 2 years or 3 years protecting and doing their job and their service, they just abandon them. And the way they abandon them is they tie them to a pole in the ground, and they just leave them to die there of dehydration and of malnourishment and not receiving food or water. And there was a man who was with his ATV on the fields, and he heard a bark that was really, it was like a bark from somebody from a dog that has been barking for a very long time. And he found him, Caramel, who was lying on the ground. He was barely able to raise his head and to, with his last efforts, bark for somebody to save him. The man knew of us. He brought him to us. We quickly took him, put on IV, started giving him everything that was good through the IV, so that we can get his body to work fast, because it was a matter of hours until he would have died. He had also, this was the reason why they abandoned him, because he got into a fight with other dogs, and he had on his arm, on his front leg, he had a very bad bruise, who was also necrotic, and a wound who was also necrotic, and it was infected, and he couldn't walk on that leg anymore. And of course he was always staying behind, so then everybody, it was decided that he was gonna die, you know, like in the wild. This is the wild west, Romania. It's the wild west. So there were a lot of things that we needed to consider, but getting him hydrated and well enough so that he can eat and drink were the first. And now, after 1 month, he is amazing. His fur has grown. The skin isn't so open anymore. He's starting to heal everywhere. We still need to run some tests, and we still need to draw some blood, and we still need to make some blood tests, because we have suspicions that he might be diabetic, but this we have to check. But other than that, he is, from the way we found him almost dead to how he is now, it's an incredible journey. In 4 years, you can imagine, I've seen everything. I've seen all the diseases. I've seen comebacks that I never expected, dogs that we found close to dying and then they came back. And we also saw dogs that I would never have thought they would die, that have died. And at the end of the day, I think that as we humans have our destiny and there's a road set for every single one of us, I think also the dogs have it too. I think they have their own destiny and their own place that is given to them by God or the universe, whatever you think or believe in, and that no matter what people do, it's forever gonna their destiny is forever gonna be fulfilled. If they need to live, they will live. If they have to die, they will die. So with this thought, I go to sleep every day. I do the best that I can with the vets that we work with my abilities, with my head and with my heart, to rescue as many as we can and to do good by them. But if something goes wrong and they go bad or then they die and we know we've done everything, then I'm just at peace with it, and I think this is how it was supposed to happen. Of course I cry, of course I feel bad, of course I'm human. I get, even though I don't want to get emotionally attached, it's impossible with dogs. It's impossible not to get attached to them. It's impossible with animals usually. Whoever has a dog or is owning a dog, you know what I mean. You cannot not love the waggy tail and the big smile and the cuddles that you give the dog. It's impossible.